If you consider the problem 1.1 in Irodov, they don't really mention the reference frame they are using. If nothing is mentioned, the ground is usually taken as the reference frame. By taking ground as the reference frame, one basically means that the observer is standing on the ground and is taking note on what is happening. Here in this problem, the observer is standing on the ground and observes the motorboat going downstream, crossing the raft at say point A, and the motorboat then continues downstream for 60 minutes to reach point B, and then it goes upstream to reach the raft again at say point C. The main goal of the problem mentioned in the previous video was to find the flow velocity of the river, which can be found by an observer on the ground. But what does happen when the observer is not on the ground? What happens when the observer is on the raft or somewhere else? So let's look into the case where the observer is on the raft. The observer standing on the raft is flowing with the river and doesn't notice the river to be moving. So he concludes that the velocity of the river to be zero. What goes wrong here? One observer reports the river to be moving with velocity Vr and the other reports it to be zero. Well, nothing is wrong here, but there is a difference, and one has to understand the difference. Here, the second observer observes the ground to be moving with the velocity Vr, whereas in the first case it was zero. This will probably shed more light on what is meant by the velocity of the river in the problem. The velocity of the river meant in the problem means that the difference between the velocity of the river and the velocity of the ground from any reference frame. So, to calculate the velocity of the river, do we calculate the velocity of the ground in this reference frame? Well, no. If we do that, we are not really taking any advantage of the reference frame here, which would end up being the same problem as the previous one. But what we can do is to calculate the time taken by the motorboat to reach the raft again. The time doesn't change when we change the reference frame. Also, it would be easier to calculate the time in this reference frame because the speed of the motorboat is constant here and is not affected by the speed of the river as in the previous reference frame. The distance traveled by the raft is known from the ground reference frame, so we can calculate the speed of the raft because time doesn't change with respect to reference frame, and so we can calculate the speed of the river. Thank you for watching, guys. This was a small animation to help you understand the difference between two reference frames. If you found this video helpful, do hit the like button, comment if you have any questions or suggestions, and subscribe for more videos.